Everybody. Today I want to talk about what's basically considered a classic, I would say, because most everybody that I've ever talked to about it has read it at some point in time. It is The Tale of Despereaux by Kate DiCamillo. This is a fun book, and it's really well written and just a good character study of three people. The book is split into three parts that one introduces each character, and then you have the fourth part, which kind of binds it all together and, they interact. It's one of those kind of stories where all of these stories intersect. Something that I like about this book that I'll just go ahead and get out of the way is that like you already know that these character stories are going to intersect. It's not trying to pull some bait and switch on you where it's like, here's the big twist at the end. Everyone is like influencing each other. Like, it's not trying to be clever in that way. It's really upfront. The narration style is very kind of upfront with, everything is going to work out. It's supposed to be a story. It's supposed to have a fairy tale type of vibe. And so you know that everything's going to work out in the end. You you don't know what's going to happen, but you know that all three of these characters are going to intersect at some point. So the first character that we meet is Despereaux, who is a tiny little mouse, and he is kind of weird, outcast of his society, because he enjoys light and being out in the brightness, and he can read for some magical reason, and he becomes obsessed with the idea of a princess and a knight, and the knight coming and saving the princess, because that's the story that he reads. And he just happens to live in a castle where there's a princess, and he really likes the princess, but before he can really talk to her or get to know her or anything, he is thrown into dungeon for all of his terrible things that he does. Terrible things, the things that are not mousy. And then we have a rat, and his name is Chiaroscuro, but it's like, I don't know, it's a weird name, and it of course has a meaning, but anyway, and he is living in the dungeon with all the rats, and he really likes light too, but he, of course, something terrible happens where he is upset, he tries to go after the light, and he is, shamed and scorned because of it, and so he's going to get his revenge. And then we have another character named Migriso, who was sold by her father. Kind of dark in some places, this book. She was sold by her father, and what she wants to be is a princess because she saw a princess riding by one day. And so anyway, we know all three of these characters, their stories are going to intersect somehow. And of course, the interesting thing is how they intersect, how everybody is going. There's just a very clear motivation for every single one of the characters, and I like that. It's very upfront. This is what Despereaux wants. This is what Riscuro wants, however you say his name, and this is what Migriso wants, and here's what, how they're going to try to get it. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? We don't know. So, I like that. It's a very simple story, but it's just told so effortlessly, but it's not too simple as well. There's complexity to it in that you don't really know what's going to happen before it does. It's not like a fairy tale where you're like, oh, well, I know the beats of this story already. It's like, it's still surprising, but yet everything's going to work out in the end. So it's just one of those really quiet, simple sort of reads that just really draw you in and make you happy for a little bit. And then you're done, because it's really short. It's a really short book, and it's so easy to get through, like I was just saying, and it's very cute. And the characters, of course, as I've already said, are very well defined, very well motivated. You care about all of them, even though, they don't always have the most selfless of intentions. And yeah, they're very good. It's very good. It talks a lot about the narrator of the book likes to talk a lot about the meaning of words. And at one point she uses the word empathy and explains what empathy means. And I would say that that's kind of one of the themes of this book is empathy and putting yourself in someone else's shoes and understanding their backstory and what led up to what they're doing now. It's not so much about it. There's this one particular point in time, of course, where all three of these characters intersect, but first you have to understand who they are and what got them to this point. And it's very good. It's very good. And I really liked it, and it was a joy to read. And I would suggest that if you have not read this book yet, or you haven't read it in a long time and kind of forgotten what it's about, pick it up again. It's I realized reading it that it influenced my writing a lot, because I've written my own book, and I realized that some of the ideas that I used in there I got from the Tale of Despereaux. It's just that good, and so you should totally pick it up. The next book that I'm going to be reading is it's called Tales from Shakespeare. It is a interesting little project that somebody did where they took the Shakespearean tales and instead of them being, in play form where this person speaks and that person speaks and them being all flowery and whatever, they're for kids, and so they're supposed to be easier to understand, and took out any inappropriate sort of things. And I remember reading a few of them as a kid, but I'll be interested to go back and see if they're good, like from a literary standpoint. I will say this is beyond the point of the Tale of Despereaux, but I remember that it's just nice to have a regular, just knowing what each of the stories that you hear about, the general plot of them, and so that'll be nice to go back and know what the general plot is again. Because people talk about Shakespeare all the time. Anyway, I'm done rambling now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!